Well, hey everybody, I'm Aaron, and welcome to the inaugural video on prophets and privateers. If you notice on the banner up at the top of the page, I have this Latin phrase thrown in. It's Hic Sunt Dracones, which means here be dragons. And there's a lot of lore surrounding that phrase. Ancient cartographers used to put a similar phrase. It would be like Hic Sunt Liones or something along those lines, or Hic Sunt Dracones. It was this idea that here is something scary. Here are dragons, here are lions, here are things that we don't want to talk about, here are things that we don't want to process through. And this is going to be a part of what this whole experiment journey channel thing is about. So I've been kind of doing a bunch of different stuff in life for a really long time and trying to see like what the best way to share just the things that I've been stumbling through and stumbling upon would be. And here's where I land on this idea of part vlog, part equipping, part just invitation into the journey of somebody that has ADHD and a bunch of other random things going on that mean that I get pulled in a ton of different directions. And instead of trying to start a million different projects to share the journey, I'm just going to try to do it all in one place. So that's the birth of Prophets and Privateers. Hic Sunt Dracones. We're going to talk about philosophy. We're going to talk about hard things that are difficult to broach. We're going to talk about death a little bit in this video today even. And I know that probably feels weird to start with a topic that's a little macabre like death, but it's big in our culture recently. Like we had Bob Saget and Betty White and some celebrities die, and it's like that gives us a 24-hour time period where it's safe to talk about death, but it's a way bigger deal than that. Like our fear of death in our culture is ridiculous, and it's gigantic, and it's vast. We're not good at talking about it. And there's a reality that says that if we can conquer death, we can conquer all fear. That death is actually the primary enemy that needs to be conquered. It's sort of a theme of Christianity in a really big way. So this is the dragon that we're going to start to clear out of the map today, is death in general. There's an ancient philosophy that comes out of Stoicism, and the phrase that gets thrown around is memento mori. Remember that you'll die. Remember your mortality. This is a truth that I think we need to start grabbing individually and as a culture. The fact that we don't run from death, we don't hide from it. Like the phrase that I've used in my own teaching and in my own world is, you need to reach across the void and shake hands with death. You need to make friends with death in a very real way. And I know that sounds crazy, but like there were natives in our own country here in America whose philosophy was that you should sing your death song well, and that you should greet death as an old friend, not as an adversary. There's something to it. There's something to the idea that as long as you fear death, that becomes an open door for other fear to come in. But the second death isn't a fear thing anymore, it's like it begins to disempower all the fear in your world. And this has been valuable, like not just for me personally, but for my family. Like one of the things that I've taught at church, I'm a pastor, that's part of my bizarre universe is pastoring and self-defense and combatives instruction and bonsai trees, and like there's just a lot of bizarre things that have come together to amalgamate this world that you're being invited into. And one of the things that I would teach in the church sphere was this strategy that I just had drop in on me for dealing with hard things with my daughter. And I have used memento mori, remember you're mortal, when my daughter and I are just missing each other, and she just turned 9 a little while ago, like she's young, and we would have these moments where we just cannot get on the same page, and she's not hearing me and I'm not hearing her right, and we're just missing each other. And I would grab her and say, honey, Dad is gonna be gone someday. We have a limited amount of time that we get to spend together, like these seconds are ticking by. We have to be really careful with how we spend this time that we have. Honey, do we want to waste it on this? And it's like it would click something in my daughter, and she'd go, no. And it would create this open door where we could both communicate better, because our common ground became we're both going, Memento mori. We have a limited amount of time that we get to spend together. Let's spend it well. But this is way bigger than just your family interaction. This is your whole life. You have a limited amount of currency to spend, and that currency is your time. You have a limited amount of this finite resource to spend. What are you going to spend it on? What are you going to spend it on? To start thinking in that context, it's like it opens a door to a great breakthrough, and that door gets opened by death. That door gets opened by the reality that I have an expiration date, that I don't have an unlimited amount of time. And I'm not saying you panic, and I'm not saying that you cut out everything fun. Like, that's not where we're going. Where we're going is, are you being as strategic as you need to be about making your decisions when it comes to the spending of your time? Are you treating your moments with the gravity that you should be treating them? Because this is a gift that disempowering the fear of death can allow into your life. And I can tell you guys this firsthand. Like, when I was a child, I had existential dread really early. I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, and I remember laying in bed in the total darkness in a near panic attack going, is this it? Like, am I going to die at some point and this is just it and everything's dark and it's all gone? Is this where I'm going? And it was like eventually I just burned out. I burned out on that whole thing. It was like my fear muscle worked so hard it finally just fell apart. And I had to come to a realization that if you're a Christian, the scripture says this, that you can't do it. Worrying doesn't do anything. Fear doesn't add to your life. You can't affect a single hair on your head. Like, none of that matters. But I had to come to the realization that death is inevitable, and that I, in most situations, don't get a say about when it comes. And I'm going to sing my death song well, and I'm going to greet death as an old friend, and I'm going to lay hold of it now that I've said everything I need to say to my family. I have made peace with my family. I have made peace where it's possible with anyone that has had an issue with me, that was willing to work it out. I've done my best to make peace with it, and that's all I can do. And I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to make apology for it. I've made peace with Jesus, and he's made peace with me, and I've been running after him hard for most of my life. And those things have allowed me to come to a place where death really isn't scary anymore. And when death is disempowered, all other fear falls off too. And the attack, the little fiery dart arrow attack things still come. I'll get in the car sometimes and have the thought just jump on me like a monster. You could die on your ride to work today. You could get in a car accident, and then all this bad stuff would happen. And it's really easy now for me to go, that could happen. I'm ready to meet death if he's coming for me. If death is coming, I'm ready to meet him. I've done everything that I need to do. I can't change it. And it's like peace just invades the atmosphere around me, and then that thing gets flushed out. And my hope is that having this conversation with you would empower you to have that conversation with you. That you could creak the door into the darkness open and reach in and shake hands with your own mortality. My goal is that we could have a zone that's created in your own world, that the map doesn't say Hic Sunt Dracones, here be dragons anymore, but we could chase some dragons out. And that death could become not a scary thing. And that maybe if enough of us grab a hold of this culturally, it won't be a scary thing either. And we won't need to hide our elderly away anymore. We won't need to do all this stuff that kind of stems from our unwillingness to face it. So I just bless you with that. I hope that this ends up being a net positive for you. I'm not going to beg you to like and subscribe. I might at some point. We'll see how this journey goes. But for now, if this was valuable, go ahead. But I don't really care. I'm not really doing this for anybody but for the opportunity to have an impact in some way and just express the things that constantly rattle around in my mind. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how the journey goes. There will be stuff about a whole bunch of random topics if I have time and the focus to keep doing this. And I just hope it's a blessing to everybody that grabs a hold of it. So you guys have a great one, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye.